Okay, Mark meets David Hart, Managing Director at Codegent and Thin Martian. Hi David.
Hi there.
Can you give us a very quick summary of your career today?
Yes, I started life at The Economist in about 95, nearly 2 decades ago. I worked in the marketing department there and moved from there to part of the FT called FT Management, which was later spun into Pearson Education. Then I did a brief stint at a startup publishing company and then back to the FT for a bit. And then I sort of moved into digital in '99 when I worked for BrainsPark, which was an internet incubator back in the day.
BrainsPark?
Yeah, it was brilliant. It was so much fun. And the model that we had was that we invested in companies, early stage .com businesses, housed them in our building. We had about 15 companies, I think, in our building at one point in Clerkenwell. And and they all, the idea was they all sparked off each other. And there were some 2 or 3 companies that have come out of that. So Fortune Cookie was one of them, now Possible. The usability company, which then became Fovians, which is now Seren. They came out of the incubator. And Metapack as well, the sort of e-logistics company, doing pretty well. So it was a kind of pretty crazy time, but it wasn't completely hopeless, given that the bubble burst and everything. But that sort of roused my passion, I guess, about digital. Really liked that as a medium, wanted to carry on working there. And then I moved into the agency side. I went to work for Reading Room in Soho, where...
It must have been really small at the time.
It was about 60 people.
Okay.
So this was about 2002, I guess. And when I was there, I met Mark and Luke, who are my 2 partners here, and we all left at different... We never really spoke about doing this whilst we were there, but we left at different times, and then afterwards I knew Mark was doing something, I kind of joined him, and then Luke joined us, and Codegent was born in 2004, and I've been there ever since.
Okay, so those that read the news will know that Codegent have acquired Thin Martian.
Yep.
Talk to us about that.
So, Mark met James from Thin Martian at South by Southwest about 2 years ago, and kind of realised that they just got on really well. I realised that our agencies were very, very similar. We did similar kind of works. We had a similar kind of ethos into what we thought was, good work and where we wanted our agencies to go. Complementary clients. So I remember him coming back saying, if we ever wanted to do a deal with merge with another company, these guys would be the ones to deal with. And obviously carried on being in touch. And then I think sort of partway through last year, James just phoned Mark up and said, can we have a coffee? I've been thinking about doing this, what do you think? And we just looked at it and thought, yeah, it's a really good idea. So, here we are.
For those that are interested, what's the plan for the 2 agencies?
Well, at the moment, you can see we're in our office, we're all sharing an office, we're all sitting with each other, we're all working with each other. Everyone is going to be employed by Codegent, ultimately, and probably ultimately it will be Codegent, but to start with, we're running 2 companies concurrently. And that's partly just because Thin Martian have got contracts with various clients and things like that. Plus, it's a brand with a lot of heritage, and it's 10 or 11 years old. We don't want to just chuck it away straight away. So I think we're just going to see how it goes. But probably the long-term plan is it will be one company.
In the past few years, there's been a lot of agency acquisitions. From a kind of neutral perspective, I've seen a lot of successes and a lot of failures.
Right.
What are you guys kind of looking to achieve, which hopefully will make it a success?
Well, I think, as I say, again, it comes down to the fact that we felt that we were very much complementary agencies. We've acquired them, but we haven't, we're not kind of sat somewhere else in Europe going, make sure you deliver 25% each quarter, otherwise, you're for the high jump. The idea is that we've come together. We haven't had to make anyone redundant or anything like that. It's been a very sort of natural fit. All it really does is grows our client base, allows us to kind of have a few more people, expand our expertise a little bit. So the plan is really just to grow at the same kind of rate, I suppose, that we were with Codegent. We're not going to do anything crazy, but obviously now we're kind of twice as big and I think that's the way we want to go.
Now that you've been through the process of acquiring an agency, What advice would you give to other agency owners who are potentially looking at doing the same thing this year?
To acquire someone or to be acquired?
How painful is it? And
It's much more painful than I thought. Because the thing is, it was such a, we said at the beginning we want this to be a no-brainer. I remember those words echoing in my head all the way through this. This is going to be a no-brainer. It's really simple. We're just going to do this. We both know what we want to do, and through the whole process, we remain very friendly. But I can really see how I don't know how if you were acquiring someone who was where it was a bit difficult. I don't know, for me anyway, the personality is crucial because we've got to work with these guys, we've got to sit in the office with them. It was painful really just because of the lawyers, just because of, every time our lawyer said something, their lawyer said, oh no, you can't, that's ridiculous, and vice versa, and you're kind of in the middle scratching your head thinking, well, what's right and what's wrong? So from that point of view, it was painful.
How long did the process take from an initial interest to the point of kind of moving in?
I'd say probably about 4 months.
Okay, that's not bad.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it could have been a lot more drawn out. I'm sure if we were a kind of group of agencies buying another group of agencies, maybe it's just a lot. If you're WPP, maybe you just got a way of doing it, and it's their way or the highway. But because we were two companies coming together, we wanted to make sure that we were happy and they were happy, and that it was fair and all those kind of things. And
how many people work here now?
So we're about 40. Including, one of the things about Thin Martian is they, especially for their technical stuff, they had quite a large group of regular freelancers, and we generally tended to hire people permanently. So it's not quite 40, but it's 40 if you include all those freelancers. So we're just kind of working out how we do that.
And how is the agency? How do you want the agency to be perceived? How's it marketing itself now?
Well, we're very much UX design and strategy and build, and we've got a couple of areas of expertise. We do a lot of work in education, FMCG, and also mobile. One of the nice things about Thin Martian is they've been working with Microsoft for ages, so they've got a head start in the whole area of Windows 8. And so they've already done quite a lot of work in that area, so it just adds to our kind of mobile expertise. The other thing about Codegent, as well as the agency work that we do, we produce our own mobile apps, which we own and we take the revenue from. So again, it's kind of complementary skills that we think that can help that as well.
Is there an embarrassing story you've got that's happened in your career so far?
Oh man.
Maybe pitching in front of clients, or holding meetings in front of staff, or speaking at a conference, I don't know.
I'm sure there's loads of things. I did, wasn't really embarrassing. So we run a business with Sarah Beanie called Teclo, and me and Sarah did a talk at a social media event, which was kind of weird because we were, it was very early days in Teclo's life, and Sarah, she'd be the first to admit that she's not the most technical of people, so her doing a talk about social, that's partly why I did it with her, because she was invited. They didn't want to hear about it from me, obviously they wanted to hear from the lady with the telly, but I think she was kind of like, I don't really know what I'm talking about, and so I kind of went along to help with her, but she'd had one of her millions of children about 2 weeks earlier, and she brought him along with her, and he was asleep on the just a basket or something, and he woke up halfway through, so she had to kind of get off the stage and get back up onto the stage with this baby and continue to talk about our fantastic social media strategy, which actually I think wasn't exactly embarrassing. It was probably quite good actually, because everyone's going, oh.
Yeah, everyone started to listen and
yeah.
What's the best bit of career advice you've been given?
Best bit of career advice. I would say, I don't know about career advice I've been given, but I would say career advice I would give is really don't worry about it. Just try things, see if they work for you. I think that one of the biggest problems, for me, whenever I've taken a risk career-wise, it's always worked out. Not always. It might go back a step to go forward. But I think you generally take these decisions because there's something inside you that says, this isn't quite right, and I think this might look a bit better.
Would you say they're more calculated risks, or...?
some of them have been ridiculous. Some of them have been quite. I mean, when I left Pearson, I wasn't 30 at the time. I had a pretty good job. I had my own office, I had a company car, I had like a team of people working for me, and I left basically to go to a startup company with none of those things, none of the kind of trappings. I mean, you've got a brand behind you, you know, Economist or the FT, and you phone up someone and say, "It's David from the Economist." People kind of listen to you. When you're phoning from a startup company nobody's heard of, it's quite hard. So in some ways that's felt quite counterintuitive, but in other ways I absolutely loved it. It's exactly what I needed to do.
What did your parents say to you when you made that move?
I don't remember actually. I think they kind of trusted that I probably knew what I was doing. They generally wait and see. I think they hold judgment, and then if something good happens, and they go, "Oh, well done," as if they knew it was always going to work out.
Who inspires you? Are there particular people in the industry or outside the industry that?
Yeah, I mean, well, because we're doing software products and mobile apps and things like that. I really like we really like 30 Signals as a company. We admired them from afar. When I was at The Economist, the copywriter that we had, Ogilvy was our agency, Ogilvy Direct back then. The copywriter that we had was a young chap called Rory Sutherland, who's now obviously global VP of everything. And he's just got a brain the size of a planet, and he's enormously amusing and insightful, and doesn't seem to have any kind of doesn't pigeonhole himself in any particular area of marketing. I think he's just. I mean, I don't think I could ever hope to be anything like him, but I think he's a pretty inspirational guy. And then actually, just the people here are quite inspirational. I think that's what gets me up in the morning, you know, to sort of think, oh, you know, we're doing some great things and people getting excited, and that's probably the most inspirational, is just seeing people here doing a great job and looking like they're enjoying it as well.
If you weren't in this industry, what do you think you'd be doing?
I think it would have to be startup related. Just from working on the client side in big agencies, in big companies, and doing my own thing, I think that's just what I like doing. I like the kind of entrepreneurial fact. I like the idea that you have a decision to make, you make it quickly, and then it happens, as opposed to having to put it to a committee and then waiting for 2 weeks to get a watered down version of what you originally wanted to do. So I don't know exactly, but I think it would be my own business, small to medium-sized business.
What do you regret, if anything, that you've done so far? I guess I don't really regret anything, because if I hadn't done those things, I probably wouldn't be doing what I'm doing now. I mean, I think I probably I should have moved to the agency side quicker. I think I don't, you know, for me personally, working in an agency is much more suited to my personality than working on the client side. But having said that, if I hadn't done that, I wouldn't have ended up at Brains Park. I had a brilliant time at Brains Park. I met loads of really good people that I still know. You know, people like Robin Grant, who from We Are Social. You know, he was all part of that Brains Park crowd. So I don't really regret anything in that sense. But I have jumped around a bit. I haven't done I didn't do the kind of graduate training at Ogilvy and then, you know, traditionally work myself way up through the ranks. For you, what's the best thing about agency life then?
It's the variety. It's the slightly anarchic element of it. It's the fact you can make decisions. You have to make decisions quickly. When I was at school, on my report, it was always gets distracted easily, and I think that was obviously negative back then. But I actually think that's quite good in an agency, because you have to be distracted. If you're one of those people that says, well, you know, don't bother me, don't talk to me, I'm only thinking about this for the next 2 weeks, then you probably struggle in an environment like this where it's noise and people rushing around, and you know, some days there's a panic, and some days you have to drop everything to suit a particular need of a client or whatever. For me, that's just fun. Keeps it interesting.
What's the most favourite brand that you've worked on?
Favourite brand?
Is there one that stands out over the years in particular?
I really like working for BBC. I mean, it's you know, it might not be the sexiest brand in the world, but I just love. We're doing a lot of work with CBeebies, and I just really love that whole area of I've got a 2-year-old son, and it's quite interesting looking at the way that he reacts to the digital world and the way he's so native with it, and the way he kind of understands content and the way he navigates content. And CBeebies have got so much insight into the way children behave and what appeals to them and how they can nourish their development. So I'd say CBeebies, and also the client is just great as well. Generally, they have good people that know what they're doing and reasonable budgets and all that sort of thing. So yeah.
And do you have a favourite advertising campaign?
Campaign. Oh, I knew you were going to ask me this. I thought I should have thought about this a bit. I quite like the EE campaigns at the moment with Kevin Bacon. I think there's one of the guys that used to work here has actually been working on that, Nick Woodbine. So yeah, I think it's a pretty good campaign. Okay,
let's move on to a quick fire round. Can line or D&AD pencil?
Neither. We haven't achieved any of those things.
Olympic gold medal or an Oscar?
Olympic gold medal.
The brightest person you've worked with?
It's probably Mark, my partner.
The most creative person you've worked with?
I'll say Mark again, but he's going to have a massive head. Or maybe Rory. Rory Sutherland, there you go.
Okay, good answer, I'll take that. And the best looking person you've worked with?
Oh dear. Mental filter here, what I can and can't say. Best looking person I've worked with. Sophie Hooper from The Economist.
Creatives or suits?
Creatives.
Money or happiness?
Happiness.
Apple or Android?
No, don't care either.
Degree or no degree?
Don't care.
Art directors or copywriters?
Art directors.
Retained work or pitch work?
Retained, I suppose.
Web or mobile?
Mobile.
Independent agencies or networked agencies?
Independent.
Facebook or Twitter?
Facebook.
Ant or Deck?
I can tell you the difference between the two. I have actually met them, but...
Outsourced production or on-site production?
On-site.
Don Draper or Roger Sterling?
Who?
Interesting, okay. And lastly, twist or stick?
Twist.
Thank you very much.